Mr. President. Yes, Mr. President, I rise to speak in favor of this measure.
Please proceed.
House Bill 2012 is the Executive Supplemental Appropriations Act of 2012. This measure is the product of the positive and collaborative effort set forth by the members of the legislature, the executive branch of government, the judicial branch of government, oh, I guess the judiciary budget comes later, sorry, and numerous members of the public. Colleagues, I thank all of you that have contributed and supported the Senate's efforts to develop a responsible expenditure plan, especially my Vice Chair of the Ways and Means Committee and the many members on the committee who offered input. I would also like to thank you, Mr. President, for your advice and counsel as we work through the budget issues. Additionally, I also appreciated the House Finance Chair and his tireless efforts to work with me to finalize the state budget. The chairman has become fond of the saying that in the heated crucible of negotiations, iron sharpens iron. Mr. President, at this point, I think the legislature must have two fairly sharp money chairs at their disposal after the many hours and hours of negotiations. This session marks the first in years that we were not faced with addressing a deficit exceeding $1 billion. Nonetheless, challenges remained. The budget submitted by the governor was premised on general fund revenue growth projections that the Council on Revenues has since substantially reduced, and many worthy programs could not be funded at the desired levels. However, this budget does allow us to strengthen core government services that have been diminished over the years. The governor's initial supplemental budget requested about $100 million to strengthen the safety net, support public education, and maintain essential services across the state. Colleagues, the measure before you is responsible and responsive to the governor's requests and initiatives. The governor's requested budget includes funding to significantly improve the infrastructure for information technology throughout the state government, an area in which the Senate has chosen to lead by example. This measure includes more than $25 million that will be administered by the Office of Information Management and Technology for critical IT projects that will support increased efficiency in the transformation of state government. The budget before you strengthens the safety net and includes additional funds for child welfare, domestic violence shelters, Medicaid, and various shortfalls across the Department of Human Services. Additionally, $18.2 million provided for the Temporary Assistance for Needy Family Program, and another $3.6 million for information technology initiatives to modernize the Department of Human Services. Education also is a top priority of the legislature, and this budget embraces that. This measure underscores by adding $40 million to the Department of Education's budget. The funds provided focus on key areas of investment in education, including more funding than was requested by the governor by the weighted student formula. And members, these monies go directly to the school and the classroom. We also provided funds for student meals and fully funded the governor's requested budget for the community school for adult programs and student transportation. Following significant evaluations of the charter school system, this legislature has a measure to rewrite the charter school law that I'm certain my colleague will be talking about as we proceed through the day, to ensure equal appropriations for the public schools as the charter schools. About $1 million is provided through this measure and charter school legislation to develop and implement a transition plan and provide equal per pupil operating funding for the charter schools and the regular education students. Finally, one of the governor's key initiatives is the protection of priority watersheds. This measure recognizes the importance of protecting the state's water resources and provides $5 million for this purpose. The conference draft of this supplemental budget moves the state forward by protecting safety net services, strengthening funding for education, and making strategic investments that will advance our economy. This budget is in line with that proposed by the governor and calls for an additional $1.4 million in general funds added to the executive supplemental budget request. Colleagues, I commend each of you for your efforts that have helped bring us to this point, and thank you for your support of this measure and the important issues that it represents. I would also like to note, for the first time in many, many years, we were able to fund much needed nonprofit support services throughout our community, which we haven't been able to do on the operating side of our budget for many years. For all of those reasons, members, I do encourage you to support this budget. Thank you.